Hi, this is Daphne. This is my challenge yourself for week 6 in IPE 576. So I'm gonna just jump right in. For number 1, find and categorize examples of behaviors and actions. So for quadrant 1, which is ethical and legal, I did a work example. I have recently been added to the membership department program that we use for membership at work. And one thing that I did for training, since I did not gain a profile during the regular training, is I played around in a program called Sandbox, which this is an exact replica of the actual program, and it has most of the database that we already have in the regular program, but it allows me to go through and train myself on different aspects of how to use the program and entering checks and donations and things without physically doing any harm to the real program. So the Sandbox is exactly that. I just get to play around and teach myself how to properly do things. So I use this as my ethical and legal because while I'm working with information potentially for people, I'm not ruining it. I'm not running a risk of changing it or accidentally potentially distributing it or anything. So while it's not medical, I'm not violating any HIPAA rules. I'm not doing anything with any actual information yet. And it's also just the right way to learn how to use a program when you are going to be working with people's information, which this information can go from anything from like a checking account to a credit card to personal information, things like that. So that was my example. I'm going to combine questions 1 and 2. So for that, I used honesty and integrity as the ethicalness, and just confidentiality overall as legal. Wasn't really sure what else to put for relevant laws. So if you think of something that I didn't add, that'd be great to put in the comments. Thank you. For quadrant 2, which is ethical and illegal, at least that's what I'm having it as, is YouTube videos. Like a lot of videos we watch for classes and things are educational videos, so they have facts in them. They're things that we listen to better our understanding of certain things. Like I use one for physics because physics is not my strong suit. One way that these can be illegal is with copyright and plagiarism. Like you may use a sound from someone else that you don't have permission to use, and that can get you in trouble. 9 times out of 10, it is easy to rectify, but not guaranteed. Typically, you end up with some form of a reprimand. So I chose that with respect, autonomy, and the exception 2 from this last chapter before in week 5. And I just said copyright and plagiarism as the relevant laws in this because you're not allowed to. I was actually just recently talking to someone that there's a certain stint after it has been published and everyone hears or sees it that you can take it without permission, but it's always best just to have permission anyways, so you know you're covering all your bases. So 3 was unethical but legal. For me, that's pinky promises. I went with a very personal. It is not illegal to break pinky promises, but to me it's unethical. It shows that you don't have as much loyalty and respect, saying that you're going to do something and then not doing it, or saying that you promise not to do something and then doing it anyways. I know some people don't necessarily have control over that, which is fine, but it's still, to me, something that is not okay. And if you're going to make the promise, keep it and have character and be integral and just be good, and don't break that, because then you break my trust, and that's a problem. For unethical and illegal, one of the examples, I came up with 2, so I wasn't sure how one of them was going to come across. So I chose cheating for one. While it's not federally legal, it is illegal in every school and institution. There are reprimands for it. You're not honest, and you don't have any integrity or respect for the teacher or yourself for thinking that it's okay to cheat and not do well on something. and for you to potentially lie to yourself saying that you're doing better than what you really are and you just don't want to put the effort forth to do it. Which that was like the relevant law is that whatever your institution describes as cheating and what the reprimand for that is what you're violating. And then my other one was what I was thinking of was when you are a good person and you borrow money or you borrow something and you don't return it. Like if you were to borrow money from a bank, it is illegal to not pay it back, and it is unethical because then you're not being honest and you're just stealing it, and that's just not okay. Okay. Question 3. Based on what you learned in this chapter, do you see aspects of the example you found and categorized? Question 1. Do you see new aspects? I think the important thing to take is that nothing's black and white. Like the cheating example, it's illegal with your institution, but it's not illegal federally, so you can get in trouble, but it'll go against your educational record, but it doesn't go against your personal federal record, if that makes any sense. And that there are many interpretations to every situation. One wrong decision, which I wrote this for my number 4 as well as a healthcare manager. How can you use what you learned about the quadrants? One wrong decision, one decision at all could be the difference between being ethical and unethical and legal and illegal. It's all about just thinking it through completely, having someone to bounce ideas off of, and talking 100% honesty and everything, especially if you're working with a patient, like just lay everything out when they're ready. You don't want to push too much on them, but you also don't want to hide anything or tell them like this is the only option when there are multiple options and potentially one might work better for someone else, because it's a case-by-case situation. Like you never know what's going to work for one person. That's mostly what I had for that. I wasn't quite sure what else to add. My biggest thing is just always consult with someone. Like as an athletic trainer, you have a physician or a physical therapist or someone that you are under, and you have to, not necessarily have to, but you almost have to always consult with them and make sure that you're choosing the right road of recovery for someone who had like an ACL surgery or a meniscus tear or something like that. Like you have those people to talk to make sure that you are doing the right thing. And for number 5, for which quadrant did you have the most trouble finding an example? I feel like for me, quadrant 1 honestly was a little difficult because I'm like trying to think of these things, but the simplest things are sometimes the hardest things to find. And then quadrant 2 seemed to be a little difficult, but once I tried looking up situations, my brain started going, and I started finding things in my own life and things that I've seen that I can use. So that's it. Thanks. Have a great rest of the weekend.